All right, guys, this is our next live stream. Great that you guys are all here. Hello from sunny San Diego. And yeah, let's get started. All right, so this live stream is about cybersecurity again. So if there's any problems with audio or something or some feedback or so, just let me know in the chat, okay? So yeah, so this is about Antsle success stories with cybersecurity. So for those of you who don't, well, I hope my audio is working. Oh yeah, it seems like it is. Okay. Yeah. So Ansel um, Ansel in cybersecurity. So for those of you who don't know Ansel, Ansel is a private cloud company. We have developed a platform for private cloud computing. We want to make the private cloud even simpler than the public cloud. We want to give you a platform that you can use on premises as well as off premises to run your cybersecurity scenarios, to run your workloads, and virtualize everything. It is both real virtualization, but also bare metal containerization. So you can run bare metal containers and VMs side by side. And yeah, oh, I got the feedback. The audio is good. Thanks, Jorge. So that's awesome. And check out Antsle.com if you haven't been there. That's A-N-T as the ant, and then SLE.com to find our solutions. So we have that software platform. We also offer really cool hardware as an appliance so that you can get started quickly. So much of our customers run cybersecurity scenarios. So, and I want to give you a few examples today of what they are doing in cybersecurity. But before I get started with that, I'd like to introduce you to Daniel. Daniel is our product marketing manager here at Ansel. And yeah, Daniel, just say a few words about yourself. I'm muted in the meantime.
Hey everyone, this is Daniel. You may have seen me from some other YouTube videos. So looking forward to being with you all here today and answering any questions you have and sharing some of the fun stories that we care about and thought were interesting enough to share with you all.
All right, thanks, Daniel. Okay, so the first story I want to share with you is about John. And John is working with a large retail bank in the US. So it's one of the larger banks. And John's role is malware analysis. So this is actually a must these days. We all have to be careful with organizations like banks, all financial institutions, many other companies. We all need to be aware of malware that's coming up, and analyze what's going on if all our workloads are free of malware and things like that. And for that, actually, a virtualized environment is kind of ideal because you can physically isolate your workload or your malware, and you can do all the analysis that you want. So John from the major retail bank, he was looking for a cybersecurity lab that he could use for his malware analysis. And he actually needs to simulate the environment that he has in his real workloads and then analyze what's going on inside that. So what he's using is malware analysis tools. So the most important and most prominent one is called Cuckoo Sandbox, which is an open source tool. And unfortunately, these days, everyone's using Cuckoo because it's open source, and the malware developers are kind of aware of that, and they came up with some anti-Cuckoo type of thing. So Cuckoo Sandbox is very popular, but there's also paid versions, and actually John is using a tool called VMRay that does the same thing and helps him analyze his malware. So he was trying to find a cybersecurity lab. He didn't want to do it in a hosted environment in that case. He needed to do it in a private setting. So it needed to be on his own hardware. But obviously, those workloads are not as large that it would justify like a rack mount server, which costs a lot of money, and he needs a server room and stuff like that. So our Antsle One appliances, those fanless little servers, but they are fanless but powerful. They came in really handy for him, and he was below budget, and can do all his malware analysis using Cuckoo Sandbox and using his paid tool VMRay. And his bosses are happy, all his team is happy because he can collaborate with our software called Ant-Man. There's many users available that can use the tool. He can create his templates. So if he has a scenario that he wants to analyze and then tear it down again, spin it up again, he doesn't have to go through all the steps again, right? Not like, downloading an ISO, going through the OS install, and then installing the tools, and then installing the suspected malware and things like that. He just has to do it one time, and then with our unique templating mechanism inside Ant-Man, he can just create his own template from it and can spin that up again when he needs it. Someone's asking here, Deborn, what virtual technology does Antsle use? So we're kind of hypervisor agnostic. What we use by default is KVM for the virtualization if you need to run Windows or these things. For all your Linux workloads, you can also use bare metal containers, and we use LXC for that. LXC stands for Linux containers. But both KVM and LXC have been modified by us and integrated with all the other nice tools that we have in Ant-Man that make it really easy to use. I hope that answers your question, Deborn. So that was John, major retail bank, and when I say major retail bank, and I'm going to give you a few more success stories today. The good news is today I can only dub them as a major retail bank. I cannot give you the name of the bank or the real name of the persons, but that's going to change real soon, because this video is just the start for a series of videos that we're going to come up with, and in those we have these people, these Antsle customers, telling you their success story firsthand, and they're going to be on the video with their name and name of the company, and we're uploading each and every week on Tuesdays one of those videos, so you're going to see those success stories firsthand, and I think that's really great news. All right, so second story is Corey. So Corey is the manager of a cybersecurity lab at a major technical university in the US. And Daniel, maybe you just tell the guys the story about Corey.
Sure thing. So with Corey's story, it's actually really interesting. They were hosting a Capture the Flag event for a lot of students from their cybersecurity department. I think it may have also been including other universities as well, so it was quite a big event. And they were looking for something that they could use to spin up servers quickly, basically get everyone onboarded fast, was kind of easy for the different team members to work with. And a little side bonus there was that they were using our silent desktop servers. So those were able to actually be taken to the actual event. They didn't have any specific infrastructure set up or rack mount or anything like that. So they were able to just basically plop those on some desks and then use those for the competition, which is really cool. Otherwise, you're kind of stuck, or you have this giant server sounding like you have a plane taking off in the middle of the competition. So they got onboarded with Antsle. We got set up, and frankly, we were kind of holding our breath because they had about 100 or more participants, and each of these needed to have their own VMs. They were going to be running this all on 128 gigs of RAM, 12 cores, 2 different servers, but that's not a lot because they have attack VMs, the kind of the target VMs. They have a few different web servers and things like that going on. So there's just a lot of stuff happening, and there was going to be there's a lot of load on the system. So we were kind of fingers crossed, holding our breath and seeing how this one day event, which obviously we were run through some dry runs, but still you're never 100% sure until it actually goes live and everyone's in there and is attacking and finding and searching. To get that flag. So long story short, that was a phenomenal success. And it was really exciting to hear the feedback. We had some really good input from the organizers. Actually, we continue to collaborate with them. They've given some great feedback on ways to make it even easier and faster in the future for different capture the flag events. And that's actually inspired some of the things that are on our roadmap. Allow people to collaborate, to share different ideas. If teams want some of their new team members to be able to go through some challenges, whether it's for hiring or whether it's for training or other things along those lines, having some things that are kind of even pre-ready, kind of pre-baked things that you can just say, hey, this is what some other people are using in other leading organizations. One click deploy, boom, I can set this up, give it to someone, let them have a go at it. So that was the story with them. Bernie, let me know if I missed any of the fun details. Bernie, can you hear me? I think you might be muted still, Bernie.
Oh, I was muted. All right. So I'm here. So thanks for that story. Yeah, Corey's story is really awesome, and they were looking for lots of vendors to have their cybersecurity lab at the university, and they came up with Antsle. They looked into just tools like VMware or something. It was just way too complicated for their setting, and so they just used Antsle and are super happy with it. All right. Another question, Dborn, does Antsle have a tool to export KVM-based VMs to other formats? For example, VMware.vmdks. So yes, we have that. The import is currently supported by the GUI just with a drag and drop. So if you have VMDKs, Hyper-V files, VirtualBox, whatever it might be, you can just drag and drop them into our Ant-Man GUI, and they're automatically going to be imported. The export is also implemented. Right now, it's not GUI based. It's just one command that you run on the command line. So it's also super easy. And we're working on putting it into the GUI real soon. But yes, it's super easy to export your images to VMDK or to other formats. And you'll just find it in our docs how the command works, or otherwise we have world-class support. So you just call in or drop them an email, create a ticket, and they'll help you doing that. So that was a great question, and obviously that is quite important to not be closed but be open to the world and being able to import, export other formats. Awesome. So the next story is about Eddie. So Eddie is the manager of incident response at a major government agency. So it's really a large federal government agency located in the DC area, and he's responsible for all security incident response. So that is actually a huge responsibility, and he needed something to run his software on, which is basically SIEM software that's being used in cybersecurity, and and for him again, it was important to have that super easy GUI to run his scenarios, to create his templates, um, being able to quickly spin up, tear down his scenarios. And he's super happy with Antsle, and he's on the way to introduce it for more and more of his team. So thanks, Eddie, for that, and we're proud of that. Um, and finally, um, we have Tom, which also works at a major financial institution in the U.S. and and Tom is doing vulnerability scanning, vulnerability verification. So he is basically working with his application development team. So the guys in the application development team develop their applications, and they say, okay, we've fixed this vulnerability. So, and his job is to make sure that it's actually true, and the system that has been developed is not vulnerable anymore to any 0-day vulnerabilities that come out. And so he's using tools like Metasploit, or just doing some port scanning using Nmap, which is a simple open source tool. And he's doing that all in a virtualized environment, because if you try to do that from your laptop and do all the vulnerability scanning and verification from there, your laptop is easily being dragged down, and then it can take days and days. So you need your laptop to be up for that. So Antsle, and again, our Antsle One appliance was kind of a perfect solution for Tom. So also he's very happy. Um, and yeah, that was kind of an overview about, and we try to give you one example of each sub branch of cybersecurity, right? We have malware analysis, we have education, cybersecurity classes. Um, by the way, there's also another success story with Benny, who is not at a university, but it's a private company that does cybersecurity classes. So he loves to do it as well. Um, we developed him a solution that works in a hosted manner in the public cloud on demand. So that's also great, but it's a dedicated server, so it's still the private cloud, but it's hosted. And he only pays the time when he runs his classes, and when there's no classes for a month, he doesn't pay anything. So that's another great story. So yeah, but there's those different branches: malware analysis, vulnerability scanning, vulnerability verification, then that whole incidents incident response, SIEM SOAR tools that you might have heard of in cybersecurity. And yeah, that's the biggest, I would say it's the single biggest use case we have for Antsle right now. It's also obviously used for other things, but cybersecurity is a very important path for us that we're going to support in the future as well, and coming up with more and more features for you guys. So if there's any feature requests you'd like to make, just email us at info@antsle.com. Yeah, please visit our website, check out our appliances, or download our software, our free trial, or check out the appliances. We have the Antsle Nano, which is Raspberry Pi based, so it's a very inexpensive entry ticket into the world of Antsle. And we have the Antsle One, which is the fanless device, like a desktop type of server that is 100% silent and dust proof, and it even works in factory floors with some of our customers because it's dust proof. And we have the Antsle 2, which is the rack mount server if you really need the power to run lots and lots of scenarios. check it all out. Again, antsle.com, ANTSLE.com. I'm checking the chat here for a moment. If there's any questions you'd like to address, I'll look into it. It all comes a little bit delayed because YouTube is buffering things, so there's going to be like a 30-second delay. And I'll hand over to Daniel in these 30 seconds to just give some final remarks.
Thanks, Bernie. Thanks everyone for joining. If you ever have any questions, let us know. Send an email to info or to sales@antsle.com. We're also open to any collaborations or ideas that you may have. So always happy to hear from you. And yeah, thanks for joining today.
All right. Thanks, Daniel. And yeah, seems no more questions are coming up. So we're closing this live stream. Again, it's going to be exciting in the upcoming weeks because we're going to have the real customers in the videos. I can't guarantee they're all going to be live because the customers obviously have their own time schedules and they cannot always be there at the time when we have our live streams. So it might be recorded sessions, but it's going to be super exciting. So if you haven't subscribed to our channel, do so now so that you get notified whenever we have one of those videos coming up. All right, so now I see another question. James, what is the plan on Terraform going forward? So we recently released a few videos about our API. So if you haven't watched those, James, I can strongly recommend you're watching our API videos. And all our API is browsable using Swagger, which is a very cool tool. And also we made our API compatible to the Open API standard. And through that, it can collaborate with Terraform. So you can automate everything on the Antsle using Terraform as of today. And actually, we have another video about the Terraform integration coming up next week. So again, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe so you get notified. And Mark is going to show us in the video how we can do all that with Terraform. But yeah, the integration is already there and it all works nicely. I hope that answers your question, James. All right. So yeah, we're 22 minutes in. I think that was a nice session. Thanks for all your participation. And yeah, see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye, everyone.